Alrighty. What's up, guys? Thank you for clicking on the video. So I'm always trying to get the timing right with this latency. Sorry about that if there was any delay, but what's up, guys? My name is Damian Knight. You're watching Knight Drive Live, and today we've got a lot to talk about, a lot to get into, so let me just go ahead and give you a quick preview here. The spy shots are out and about, and it's even blurry. Don't you love the spy shots when they're blurry? This is actually the baby Bronco, and it's actually next to an Explorer, so we got a little perspective of size. That's what we're going to get into here shortly. This is the Aston Martin Valhalla, and there's a new engine that Aston Martin developed for this. We're going to talk about this car and its role in 007, production dates, things that we can't afford, but hey, it's still fun to look at. What is this? Well, this is something that you can download off of the Peterson Museum. In the current situation, they know a lot of kids are home, and so they have a lot of downloadable content. This is going to be a pretty cool thing for people that have kids to check out. I'm going to show you a little bit of what's going on there. It's pretty interesting, and we're going to talk about this concept from 2016. It was the Ram 1500 TRX, but there's updates on this. There's new spy shots, and I'm going to get into the details of this truck. It's a Raptor fighter with a lot of power. I'm talking about 707 horsepower. They just whore out that Hellcat motor and everything they can put it in, and it's coming in a Ram. Volvo's got a few little issues, but it's just going to be quick. We're just going to skim it, and then we're going to talk about Toyota getting into this Yaris hot hatch, and it's pretty hot. So you might be surprised by the power to weight ratio. That's the kind of stuff we're going to talk about. Couple of updates as well coming from the show yesterday. We've got some Corvette dyno results on the twin turbo Hennessey and things like that. So you're watching Knight Drive Live, guys. Get ready. Forced induction fabricator, engine management tuner, shop owner. I wanted to start a daily show about everything automotive. You're watching Knight Drive Live. Alright, guys, so I wanted to just go ahead and start right off and talk to you about what I was hinting at when it comes to the Peterson Museum. I kind of found this on Motor Trend, and I said, oh, well, that's interesting. Peterson Museum over there in California, they got a huge collection, and apparently they've got some downloadable things if your kids are car lovers, and so I kind of hopped over to the website there. I was pretty surprised by how much stuff they've been able to get up on there, and it's just different downloadables, things about your first car, different projects that kids can do at home, build your own hot rod download. They have things that looks pretty interesting. Racetrack roads you can download and cut out, I suppose, if you have a printer. So if anybody has kids, you ought to check into this and see like what's on there. I know if I was young, I would have loved to get into something like that. So apparently I hear that Corvette Museum and a lot of these other museums are also looking to do something like this. So check I have the link to this actual page down in the description. So go ahead and check that out when you're done. See what you can download. If you have some kids at home, might want to play with the things. Real quick in the comments, obviously, if you're watching, throw me a comment live, guys. And so Lil Unc Cole, what's up, guys? Nice to have you with me. Appreciate it. Yeah, if you're new to the channel, I haven't watched it before, I kind of do a variety of videos on this channel. We do live shows Monday through Friday that kind of deal with general news, and we get into sports cars, trucks, a little bit of everything, fabrication. I like a lot of custom stuff, and I also try to upload weekly. We have a off-road project with a Pathfinder. We have a couple Corvettes, so we kind of keep it very diverse. I'm a car guy all around, and love to go to different events and races, and I throw in the coverage as much as I can. So please throw me a sub and throw a like on this video if you can. I appreciate it. It always helps me out. But let's go ahead, and I've got some crazy news too for some of you folks familiar with my channel, but I'm going to talk about it a little bit later here. But let me go ahead and start off with this Ram. So the Ram 1500, obviously there's a new redesign on the front of the Ram, and they're kind of working on all those sub models. So this is going to be a Raptor fighter, and we definitely think that the Hellcat engine has been confirmed. It's going to end up in their 6.2 liter supercharged 707 horsepower. And so we've got a few spy shots here. You can see from the spy shots some seriously beefy front control arms. They've actually seen what appear to be some billet components, like a ladder bar setup in the back. Excuse me, guys. And so basically this stems off of, this is the current version of the 1500 Rebel. And so the entry level Rebel starts at 50 grand. With options, it kind of pushes to 55. So this is not a cheap truck by any means, but it's for guys that want to get out there and you know, get off road, hit the sand dunes, things like that. So the interesting thing is this is a rear coil spring on these trucks versus Leafs, and there is an air spring option which gives you adjustable ride height possibilities. So it's pretty interesting. This is the platform that they're going to extend on even more. Lil Long, thank you. Hit the BK app, order some nuggets. Gotta love them nuggets. Gotta love them nuggets. But you know, the BK by me, I'm not sure about the BK by me. It's a shaky one at times. So we'll see. But I appreciate that super chat, guys. Obviously, this is it right now. My girlfriend and I both our income shut down, so I'm working on YouTube like crazy. So I appreciate that, Lil Lunk. But yeah, so this is the Rebel TRX. And well, this is the Rebel, and they're going to expand on this. And so I'm gonna talk a little bit about that, of what to expect based upon the concept that they had in 2016. This was on the Classic platform, but the word is that there were ARB air lockers in this, billet suspension components, and Bilstein suspension was working with them as well. So what you can see is on this truck, it's a very aggressive. They had bead lockers on this and everything, but you know, some nice multi-point harnesses, cool tire mount rack for spares. So we may see some of this as options, and these have been spied at the sand dunes with Raptors, so they are jumping the truck and things like that. So they are definitely targeting, and we'll talk about that other one in a minute, but they're definitely targeting the upper end Raptor and looking to just blow it out of the water, because I think the top end Raptor has like 450 horsepower, like 510 foot-pounds of torque. This is going to be 707. It's going to be the Hellcat engine. So they're thinking about 55 grand starting point, 65,000 optioned out. So we'll see what happens, but there is also work on a 7-liter naturally aspirated engine, they think. And so yesterday on the show, when I talked about how FCA has like the worst fleet fuel mileage, it's like they have some hybrids, but they keep putting this Hellcat engine in everything. And the beauty of that is it brings the cost down anytime you produce more and more of the same. And that's what FCA has really been living on with the Challenger platform. And you know, that's a chassis that's been around for a long time, but just they keep repackaging it and putting these huge horsepower, and America loves it. So that's definitely something that's keeping this whole brand kind of afloat. But if you can't quite afford the TRX, or that's a little out of your range, you know, there are some other trucks that they've been kind of talking about, and they are having a lot of packages. It looks like they're going to try, and this was the OTG concept at SEMA last year. Obviously, it's more of like an overland approach, and so the good thing is they're getting a lot of accessories put together for this truck, and different paint schemes and things. And this was the sand color that ended up. Let me see if I can make that a little. Well, I can switch screens. So this is the Warlock, and the Warlock starts at about 35, and you can see this is on the Ram Classic. So this doesn't get the new front end. This is the Classic front end. And when I was talking about bringing that cost down with production, they kept this Classic platform around to compete with the Ranger. And obviously they've just got a lot of leverage on this now, making the same body panels and everything for so many years. It's a classic design. People like it, and it's available. And basically when you get the 4x4 version of the Warlock, you get like an extra inch lift. You get powder-coated black bumpers, a couple little things. So it's not quite the TRX, but I did find some of these at like the high 30s. So they are trying to push that price down. I have incurred some type of issue here with Streamlabs. I've been having this problem here today. I hope you're still with me, but it may have to disconnect, so I may lose the stream here. Not quite certain what to do in this situation. I'm going to keep click yes to keep streaming and recording. So hopefully this continues, guys. Sorry about that. Been having a few compatibility issues. I think it's a driver issue. I'm going to have to work on it today. So I'm going to click yes. If I lose you, I'm going to have to restart the stream. Sorry about that. That's the first time it's happened to me since I've been had the show. So let's see what happens here. Alrighty, I think I may have gotten you back. Sorry about that. Definitely the first time that's happened, so I will absolutely have to figure that out before going any further. But let's go ahead and jump into the Toyota Yaris, and let me go ahead and expand out a little bit. Yeah, don't say it. Gonna get me get me tagged, Lil Lunk. So this is the Toyota Yaris, and so for some of you people, you're like, ricers. I hate the the hot hatch thing. Well, it's a little bit interesting. Let me tell you about this just real quick. Toyota teased at this, that the American market may get this little car, and I think you're seeing, and as we're going to talk about the baby Bronco here ahead, you're seeing this, the industry goes in waves. We get these big, huge vehicles. It depends on gas prices. It depends on regulations. You see the market constantly doing these waves of what's in and what's out. And if you remember in the 80s, we had Suzuki sidekicks. We had, in the late 80s, early 90s, had these little bitty vehicles out of Japan and Korea and things like that. And so again, these hot hatches and compact SUVs, things like that, fuel efficient, it's trending. So here is the hot hatch though, and the beauty today is we know how to make power. We can make power emissions legal, and so now hot hatches are getting hot. So this particular one, they teased, hey, do you America, what would you think about a new hot hatch? And so this Yaris is 257 horsepower. It does come in a manual, and it's 2,822 pounds. So the one thing I told somebody is, I said, consider this, say you like, the V8, you like an American type of muscle car. You look at Dodge Challenger RT, which is like the base model, comes with 375 horsepower V8. So think about it like this. The RT, it weighs in at something, I did look it up just to make sure my data was right, but it's 4,182 pounds, comes with 375 horsepower. So that's 11.15 pounds per horsepower. This particular hot hatch, 10.98 pounds per horsepower. So, and with less mass, you're going to get, obviously handling is going to be improved. This car on a road course probably will put a whipping down on the Challenger, but obviously it just depends on what image you want to project. Some people are like, yeah, but I just feel better in the Challenger versus driving around in this little thing. But I will tell you, these are more go-kart feeling, much smaller, and so 2,800 pounds in a current day and age with regulation and whatnot and crash standards and all those things, emissions, pretty potent little car. And in Japan, this one actually gets like 268 horsepower. So it's to each his own in terms if you'd like a little compact car, but you can definitely still have fun in something small. So I don't know what everybody thinks of that. I don't know if you're open to the little cars and whatnot, but I can tell you they're good fun if you ever get the chance. So I'm going to get into this Bronco Sport. So some people know the Bronco is coming out, and I've talked about it on the show here a couple episodes ago. Obviously, these leaks have come out because of the situation with auto shows getting canceled. So Ford has kind of strategically started leaking to just grab media and press and things like that. So this is the Bronco Sport, and it's going to be built on the Escape platform. And so we kind of got some spy shots today to kind of show you perspective of size. But let me just give you a breakdown. This thing is going to be under 30 grand. It's going to be all-wheel drive apparently across the board for all models. It is quite boxy, I would say. So I'm thinking they're probably going to try and push in terms of cubic volume inside, and these come with like a 1.5 liter 3-cylinder with like 190 horsepower, 187, or a 2-liter turbo 4, which will be like 250. So basically they're just kind of targeting the Jeep Renegade, like the Trailhawk pack, or the Jeep Compass. So and some customers who may be considering a Subaru Crosstrek, that's kind of what the target of this thing is, under 30 grand. So a little bit more than like a CRV or something would be, maybe hopefully a little bit more capable, but we'll have to see what happens. So these are kind of the spy shots that have come out. This is going to be the baby Bronco. They talked about calling this a Bronco Maverick. Some people were upset it's not the Bronco 2 because we had that in the 80s, if you recall. So we'll see what happens, but obviously this is your Jeep Renegade, which it's trying to compete with, and so not design wise, I mean, it is what it is. It's a little cube. Some people aren't too happy. So this is a blurry spy shot next to a Ford Explorer, so you can see it's definitely smaller internally than an Explorer would be, but still looks like it has some decent ground clearance. So we'll see what happens. I did check the comments to see what Ford fans thought of it, and Wungi, he said it looks dumb. The old Ranger SUV renders look a lot better. It looks like a Nissan Cube, but somehow uglier. So that's, you know, you'll get those people that do think it looks a little bit too Cube-like. Fire Medic 2714 says they're going to sell the hell out of these as long as they keep the price point on par with the Compass and the Highlander. I would much rather drive one of these than anything Jeep or Toyota makes in this size SUV. Alina Jackson, she said, I'm sad the thing looks like typical European garbage. So I guess it's going to be a split crowd in terms of how it's received. We're going to see. I don't think it's something me. The all-wheel drive is, you know, I obviously like an actual four-wheel drive system. This is a unibody vehicle, so it's going to be very car-like in its ride quality versus a body-on-frame construction. All-wheel drive just all the time, so you don't get that crawl gear generally speaking. So it's just going to be kind of a dual-duty soft roading, and so probably I suspect they'll try to get overlanders, weekend campers, stuff like that with this type of vehicle. So if you're into that kind of thing, maybe you'll check out the baby Bronco when it comes out. So quickly, I was going to tell you about, and frankly, who owns a Volvo anymore? I don't even know. I feel like Volvo, I'm like, where are they? I don't even see Volvos anymore. But apparently, all 2019 and 2020 models are recalled because the emergency braking system won't work. So if you know anybody with a Volvo 2019 or 2020, they're going to be having to go in for a software update starting in May. And it apparently just doesn't recognize anything. This is a big deal because emergency braking systems are going to be on all cars pretty much starting in 2022. So if you know somebody with a Volvo, I don't, you know, tell them they're just going to have to get work done. So that's boring enough. Let's get to something more exciting. What I wanted to talk about in brief here is the Aston Martin. And so obviously we know that, well, you may or may not know, and I'm not a huge like 007 guy anymore, but they have been synonymous with Aston Martin for years and years. Aston Martin, definitely, it's a good marketing platform for them. So they continue to stay connected and try to put as many concept cars and things as they can on the movies as they come out. So the deal is that Aston Martin is going to, this is the Valkyrie, and the Valkyrie is set for production. There's going to be 150 units. This is a $3.2 million car. I don't know if you've seen the Valkyrie. F1-like performance. It's going to be super potent. So this movie is going to have a bunch of different Astons in it. And, you know, Aston is struggling right now due to the situation. Hopefully they can weather this. But they have some extreme cars coming out because Aston finally just started making money like 2 years ago. And so they were kind of really on this trajectory that was a long time coming. Aston had really been struggling. Same with Lotus. These brands that I really hope can just weather through this because they have some awesome concepts coming out and some things in the future. And you can see this car was super aggressive, $3.2 million, but I like seeing them get out there. And so this was the Valkyrie. And so the Valhalla is going to be a little bit higher production, more affordable car. And so they developed a new V6, and apparently this is a V6 look into the future for Aston Martin. And immediately, what I'm going to point out, I don't know, I love looking at new engines and seeing the development, but as you can see, this is the intake side. These are the throttle bodies down off of the side. Most people are used to seeing exhaust manifolds down here with an intake up in the center. So this is a hot V configuration is what they call that. And so essentially you're putting your turbos and your exhaust side is up in the V as to where the intake side is down hanging off of the side. And so for packaging, for especially tight engine compartments and things like that, there are advantages to this. And obviously there's a little bit of a center of gravity penalty because you're putting heavy turbos and the turbine sides are iron, putting them up high, but it's very compact, and Mercedes was big on this. So you know, there you can see when you get those turbos going, they start to light off and they get red hot. So definitely a heat management deal, but pretty cool. They say that this is probably going to end up being a lot of different Aston Martins. So Aston Martin has been committed to driver's cars. They said they want to always have manuals. They want to keep things gas powered as much as they can. So that's inspiring to see from them. But this Valhalla is very aggressive, airflow managed design, very cool. I could see that competing with McLaren. I'm not sure on what the price targets are on this, but definitely going to be a cool looking car. and to go along with the Valkyrie. So I hope we see these. The Valkyrie was really supposed to, rumored to be involved in the LMPH program in WEC that I've talked about here on the show, but they have since backed out for a variety of reasons, and now more so than ever, I'm sure they're going to be backed out. So we're going to see what happens with that. But what I wanted to talk to you about, let me give you some updates from the other day, and this was pretty cool. Lace just found this for me. I didn't know this. And, you know, a big move for my channel, guys, was like in November, I did some SEMA videos. My Super video, I knew Supras were going to be hot, and so I got into SEMA, recorded all the ones that I could, hurry up and uploaded the video, got over 100,000 views on that. That was a big growth spurt for the channel. And then I followed it up with a response to Doug Demuro's Cybertruck video. And so Lace was kind of scanning the internet, and lo and behold came across the fact that Inside EVs had done an article that featured a lot of my videos. I did an immediate response to Doug Demuro on that vehicle, saying that he was just missing the potential of what this ugly thing could be once the aftermarket started modding it. And I thought, you know, maybe its design isn't like super inspiring for people, but you know, the aftermarket can do a lot of things with something like this military type of, you know, external exoskeleton on it, different wraps, different things. So it's, you don't have to love Tesla or love the idea of the truck to figure that some people would love doing this. So the interesting part was he kind of doubled down and came back with more thoughts for clicks, and he posted a video in front of his Ford GT. I ended up green screening myself in front of his Ford GT in his own garage, and so they thought that was pretty funny. So I was in a pretty big article that I was only made aware of here today, so I thought that was pretty cool. But the Cybertruck video was huge for me, 177 or 178,000 views. That was a big move for me to buy more camera equipment through some ad revenue and stuff, and so big move for the channel. Really hoping I can continue to grow it. But let me get past that to the I talked about the twin turbo C8 yesterday at Hennessey, and we were questioning, can HP tuners tune this already? Is that going to be a possibility? So you get a good close-up look at the turbo setup they have on this. They have the dual, so these are non-ball bearings by the look of it, because they have some, it looks like they have some heat sink. Ball bearing turbos typically have coolant lines going through them, as to where bushing turbos don't. Here's their drain line. It looks like they're using a scavenge pump. This right here looks to be open wastegates, which I'm fairly certain, and they're using green filters. And I know the owner of Green Filter. Believe it or not, I street raced with the owners of Green Filter in 1998 quite a bit, and they've grown an amazing company, and said, like, we just figured we'd make filters that are green, and why not? And it's just amazing. They built a brand off of just making a green filter. But let's get to the sound here. So much quieter than it was yesterday. And so let's stop the run file here. 643 horsepower and 570 torque at 4,600. So obviously they're not, you know, running huge boosts as a stock motor. They may have, I'm not sure with the direct injection, they have to figure out how much fuel they can work with. Typically, if you look at C7, I haven't tuned to C7, I have no idea, but just from what I've read, I understand you can get a good bit more out of the direct injection as it sits. So, you know, they just are looking for probably something reliable, something they can put out as a kit with a tune file and things like that. So it's obviously much quieter. They must have muffled it. Well, they connected it to the some existing. The tips look stock. It looks like they must have welded them on there, maybe with a small muffler of some sort. Much quieter than it was yesterday, but you can hear them rev it. Pretty cool, though. They got all the packaging in the space of the C8 muffler, and so a lot of people were talking about that rear storage area that was for the roof, and they were thinking that maybe in Z06 or something turbo they'd have to take out that rear storage area and potentially sacrifice the roof. That really doesn't seem to be the case, because they're clearly packaging twin turbos, all the system and everything, because the C8 muffler is actually pretty large. So you know, this is obviously very stealthy, sleeper-ish, if you're going to call C8 Corvette sleeper-ish. But you know, rear turbos on like a front engine Corvette was kind of, you know, you had long charge pipes, you had to run a scavenge pump for the oil. There was a lot of components to it and complexity. Here, you know, obviously packaging is going to make much more sense, because it's all mid-engine now and everything's right there. So pretty interesting package. They are going to make it a kit. And it all fits. You know, it hangs down a little bit. Obviously, the scavenge pump, and this is like a probably more or less going to be a sump, and they're going to scavenge out of that. It does hang a little bit low, but overall, you know, decent power, reliable. Obviously, I think the C8s are making like 460 on a dyno. So to go up to 640 and 570 torque, definitely a big step up. Definitely going to be a game changer. Probably going to be at least what a Z06 they suspect may come around 700. With 700 after drivetrain losses and whatnot, you might end up in this range. So he may typically be ahead of the curve there in terms of performance output and whatnot. So check out Hennessey. I don't think there's anything else to be seen other than revving it in my ear. Yeah, nothing else there. So nothing else to be seen. So that's about it, folks. Obviously, you know, just keep on rumbling here. Just trying to get through all this deal. I've been working hard on the channel. So I'm going to try and get out and shoot some video on the off-road, on the Pathfinder and whatnot. Just some updates on lighting and things that I've done to the vehicle in the past little bit. Oh, look at that. It changed. When I shut down the program, it changed my upper bar here back to the yesterday. It must not have saved. That's interesting. So I'm going to have to look into some technical issues, guys. Little things you're going to have happen when you go live. Thanks for sticking with me if you went through that little portion where I froze. And I appreciate you watching, guys. So I'll catch you on the next one. Have a good day. Stick in there. Be safe. I'll see you tomorrow. All right, later.